Okay, so for the for the justification of the different tests that I chose for the different components, so for power I chose the vertical jump test. The usual gold standard test for power is the use of calibrated force plates, which are usually found in biomechanic labs. However, they are extremely expensive. Therefore, this was a very unrealistic test to use as it was inaccessible. So therefore, I chose the vertical jump test, and it can be used for testing power. However, it is less valid and reliable because you basically measure the score yourself, and therefore it's very subjective. The hand hitting the wall could be measured from potentially different angles, which is a source of human error, and different people may judge the results differently, and it could be measured from different points and perspectives. And a machine would obviously be better because it just takes away any subjectiveness, and the test is suitable for all people with the vertical jump test, which is obviously a positive. Component of flexibility. The sit and reach test is a very time and cost effective test, and it was done quite easily from home as well. There is little equipment required, however it does produce valid results as the test is direct. During the sit and reach test, it is easy to control confounding variables by making sure that they start in the same position every time and in the correct position on the wall. It can be done in a very similar way with nearly the same equipment that would be used in a professional environment. However, this test can be seen as quite subjective because you have to visually measure it yourself, and different people could judge the stretch length differently. It would be better to use a box for this test as it makes it more reliable, and that's what you would do in a sort of professional environment such as in a gym. It's important to check for any leg bends whilst the person does the stretch, and to make it more reliable you should make the participant hold the stretch down for 3 seconds to get a correct and accurate reading. You need to make sure that you control footwear because this can affect the distance stretched potentially, and make sure that the same warm-up is done for muscle pliability and the warm-up is standardised. So now for balance, which is the component of fitness, we chose the stalk stand. So the more motivated the athlete is, the more reliable and valid the stalk stands will be. Results will be. This determines the strength, conditioning and technique of the athlete, and it's a more reliable method as long as it's done consistently. The stalk stand test is the more used test for balance, so it's quite widely used to test this. It is a direct test and it gives good accuracy for measuring balance. The test has high ecological validity and it can be done in almost every environment accurately. It's important that the researcher makes sure to control any distractions because these can affect concentration and balance. Home environment can also cause a lot of distractions, which we did it in, so that needs to be controlled and accounted for. And it's also really important to make sure that participants' arms and feet stay in the correct place, and to potentially test them further you could use a wobble board or machine. So now on to the component of fitness being core strength. For this we chose the plank. So the plank is a very simple test, and it therefore doesn't require any complex equipment. In previous research it's been shown that the plank test is reliable as it was compared across testing sessions and is not influenced by verbal encouragement. It therefore has high internal validity. You have to have caution if there is a sedentary person doing it, as the plank can strain the back, and so this test might not be suitable for everyone to do. However, you can offer knee assistance during the plank to those who needs it by just putting the knees down. And that will still get valid results. It is valid if it is technically correct and checked for the quality by the administrator. and if retests are done in the same conditions, make sure that there are the same conditions, positions, and same use of the same equipment with the same instructions, and that makes it reliable. For the triceps muscular end component, we picked the 1 minute press ups. This test is subjective as it is up to the researcher or viewer to check if they're doing the press ups correctly. Furthermore, it does not require a lot of motivation. It does require a lot of motivation from the participant and experience, as they need to know how to do it correctly and also be able to physically do that. It can be easy to do at home though, as long as there is a space for them to do that and it's safe. It is valid if it's technically correct and checked for quality by the administrator, and if tests are done again, we need to make sure that the same conditions, positions, equipment and instructions are used, and that will again make it reliable. And finally, for the leg strength component, choosing squats was what we had to work with. Usually mechanical mechanical dynamometry is either isometric or isokinetic modes, is considered a gold standard test for assessing muscle length. Mechanical dynamometry is capable for detecting subtle but important strength defects between the limbs. However, it is typically only used in research settings, so it's not accessible for us all to use. The squat test is an easy test to do at home, and it doesn't require much space. It's valid and reliable if done correctly with good technique. However, it can therefore be seen as subjective, as different people may have varying opinions on what is a good technique and correct one. So you need to make sure that during the squat there is a 90-degree angle of knee bend, and this should make a more accurate reading.